My name's Lucy Wells-Fraser. I'm a project manager at Codstakes Model Making. We're a large model making company in Bristol, and we make models and sets and props and exhibition pieces for film, TV and animation.
How many hours do you work in a typical week?
In terms of working hours, I work 37.5 hours a week. My model makers work a little bit less than that. They work from 10 to 6. They have an hour off every day, and we make sure they have a morning break and an afternoon break. I think for them it's very important that they have proper break times and proper sort of scheduled work times, because model making is such close work, it demands a lot of concentration. They need proper breaks, but I don't, so I kind of carry on working through the day.
What generally is a healthy balance between free time and the time we spend working?
I would say when I started my job, it was everything to me. I've been here for about a year and a half, and at the beginning I worked all the time. I thought nothing of working in my evenings and over a weekend. But to be honest, these days my free time is really important, and I think I put 100% into my job. So I'm perfectly entitled to having, you know, a whole weekend to myself. And the same goes for my staff. And if somebody's got something very important they want to do outside work, I make sure they have time to do it.
How do you manage your time each day?
I look at what's happening that day, and then I physically write a list of all the tasks I have to perform that day. And within that list, I decide who's going to do it, whether it's myself, or I might delegate to an assistant, or to a designer, or to a researcher, or somebody else. So delegation is important. In terms of meetings, we always set a time limit, because meetings can go on and on for hours and hours, and you have to say, right, this meeting's going to last an hour.
How do you prioritise your jobs?
When I have a list, I highlight the things that I have to prioritise, but I also leave a little space, because if I'm dealing with a big project, there are always crises things happening, crises management. For example, a client might ring up, something's gone wrong, in which case that takes priority, and we move everything else to one side.
How do you plan a big project?
Well, at the moment I'm in the planning stages of a very big project. It's a big exhibition for a museum. What I do right at the beginning, I get all the players together, so the client, the designer, myself, perhaps someone in the construction team, the buyer, a couple of suppliers. I tend to make a schedule and schedule in all the meetings at the beginning, and then all the approval dates. When we're making something very large and complex, the client wants to see what's happening, wants to see the process. So we agree sign-off dates. So they'll come and view things and we sign them off, and they're normally every couple of weeks, depending on the length of the project.
Have there ever been moments where you didn't have enough time on a project?
Recently, we had a situation where a client gave us, I think it was 2 days, to make something that A, was quite complicated, and B, required materials that actually wouldn't set in the time, silicons and so on, they wouldn't set in that 2-day period. So we had to literally design the job, make it, and then when it was being transported up to Scotland for a film shoot, a model maker went with it, and they had to finish it off on the journey up to Scotland. That's time management. We recently moved to these workshops. They were an empty shell. So we're going to put in a cafe, which will be great for clients and for the model makers. We're going to add a couple of other floors. We're going to put in special departments for computer design and for small model making. There are going to be a lot of changes.
Next week I am meeting with clients to talk about future business, and also I am meeting with candidates to interview them for positions that we're currently working on.
At the weekend I'm moving to a new house in London.
What will you have achieved 5 years from now?
Hopefully I'll have achieved some really fantastic projects. I'm working on certain film things at the moment, so I hope that I'll have achieved some things on the big screen that lots of people can enjoy.